So this story right here is honestly somehow one of the biggest scandals of the Trump regime this second time around, because this is just out of control. Totally and utterly out of control. Now, we know the ICE Gestapo thugs have been committing crimes on a daily basis, but the extent of the crimes, I think, would shock virtually every American. So remember, it wasn't that long ago, there was this horror story that came out. This woman was, ICE says, this woman sideswiped them, attacked them, and then they pulled her over or stopped her car. They got out. They said, oh, she was reaching for a gun, and then they lit her up and shot her, I believe, 5 times. That's what their story is. The real story is that this woman was basically screaming at them to get the fuck out of their city because she was sick of the bullshit. And then they attacked her. And they basically surrounded her and took out guns and started shooting her and trying to murder her. So what you're about to hear is a story of attempted murder done by ICE Gestapo thugs. Insane. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. By the way, they tried this woman claiming that she was the aggressor. The case got laughed out of the courtroom. So she's totally vindicated. And now the question is, should she sue them? Which, based on the facts of this story, I would say no doubt she should. Let's watch.
Can I show them?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was shot in my arm right here, and then it went through my tricep, and then it grazed the side of my chest.
Reminders of what could have been Mary Mar Martinez's last day. October 4th, the Department of Homeland Security claimed she rammed a Border Patrol agent's vehicle in Chicago with her car before that agent got out and shot her multiple times. She says she was on her way to donate clothes until she saw what appeared to be federal agents, already becoming a familiar sight in Chicago's neighborhoods.
So I started beeping my horn. As a Mexican-American, first-generation USA citizen, I felt it was my responsibility to let my neighborhood know that ICE agents were near.
They turned out to be Border Patrol.
So I just got next to them, and I was like, get out of here, and I was just honking.
That's when she says they sideswiped her, contradicting Border Patrol's narrative.
They immediately stopped. I gotta go somewhere safe. I went to my furthest left, make sure that I wasn't gonna hit them. As I was passing them, they started shooting at me through the side.
The agent got out of his vehicle and shot Martinez 5 times. It feels like it's still top of mind for you, right?
It's painful. Just to talk about it, it's think about it, just me remembering what happened that day. It's traumatic, honestly.
She was charged with forcibly assaulting and resisting or impeding a border agent and labeled a domestic terrorist by the Department of Homeland Security. And then, over a month later, in what became a critical court hearing, the agent who shot her, Charles Exum, testified the collision was more of a hit, not rammed. Then, these text messages came out where he appeared to be bragging about
LOL, gracias. FAFO means fuck around and find out. Sweet. My 15 minutes of fame. Laugh my ass off. Cool. I'm up for another round of fucking around and finding out. Laugh my ass off.
shooting you. Read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. Put that in your book, boy.
Read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys.
You were sitting right there.
Jesus fucking Christ. You hear?
Shooting you. Read it. 5 shots, 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys.
Oh.
You were sitting right there.
What type of agent brags about it? This is what the administration
So bragging about attempted murder.
has out in the street.
For 15 years, I was a federal prosecutor. I worked every day with FBI, DEA, DHS. I have never come across an agent like that, and it's something that's embarrassing to me as a former federal prosecutor.
Thursday night, there was suddenly a major shift. The case was dropped.
Yeah, you don't say. You don't fucking say. By the way, this explains perfectly something we've talked about quite a bit, that Border Patrol, Department of Homeland Security, and ICE, they are honestly hiring anybody and everybody. We covered a story. They couldn't pass basic tests about, their professionalism and about the legal standards that apply, and they couldn't pass criminal background checks. We're talking about deputized Proud Boys. There's ICE agents that we know that have Nazi tattoos on them. Bro, this is like a white nationalist brigade is what it is. It is Trump's personal Gestapo. And they got the mission. Harass brown people in blue cities. That's the mission. And that's what they're doing. And now we know, this is who they are. Can you imagine committing such a crime and then effectively giving all the evidence in the world to to the other side by texting about how proud you are that you tried to murder this woman?
Across an agent like that, then it's something that's embarrassing to me as a former federal prosecutor.
Thursday night, there was suddenly a major shift. The case was dropped, and at the request of the prosecution. Despite the case being dismissed, DHS stuck to their original accusations. On October 4th, Border Patrol law enforcement officers were ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. The woman, Marimar Martinez, driving one of the vehicles, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon and has a history of doxing federal agents. We will not allow domestic terrorists to attack our law enforcement. This was after you were cleared of these charges.
That is so crazy. And that reeks of Stephen Miller. That comment reeks of Stephen Miller. That, like, you've already been destroyed. Your narrative fell apart. The court clearly sided the other way. They said, you're just wrong. And then he's like, domestic terrorist, semi-automatic weapon attack, doxing our officers. As it, like, playing the victim as they literally just got caught trying to do attempted murder.
Where are they getting all this fake information from? I was just shocked, honestly.
What do you do in a scenario where, like, you literally can't trust anything that comes out of the government anymore? You literally can't trust a single thing. They are, like, known, proven, pathological liars. What do you do in a scenario like that? I don't know. This is why, talk about a low trust society. We're moving to a no trust society. Because unless you're a complete MAGA cultists chugging the fucking Kool-Aid, like, how do you accept this? How do you accept this nonsense?
While a gun was found in her car, it was never brought out. It was still inside a holster with the snap closed. She also has her concealed carry license, her attorney says.
They're still putting out these false statements that are disputed by their own people, right? Agent
She needs to sue the fuck out of him.
Exum testified that there was no ramming. I mean, he's the driver. He was there.
For Martinez, she's just happy this chapter is over with, but she can't avoid its reminders. When you look at those, scars on your body, what do you think about?
I'm a survivor.
And it's not just the physical scars she lives with.
I don't want to remember that day. You're laying there at night and you're just thinking about it, like, what's going to happen? Like, it's really emotional to me. So it's like, it's hard for me to talk about it, but I'm trying.
And remember, this was a case that the FBI director, Kash Patel, was tweeting about with the wrong video, by the way, in a tweet that is still up. I asked the FBI about it today, and they didn't have a comment. But remember, this case was also cited by the Trump administration as part of their appeal to the Supreme Court as for why they believed the National Guard needed to be here. So a case of extreme significance and a major development. Martinez is just ready to move forward with her life.
Jesus Christ, man. By the way, more than 20 people have died in ICE custody under Trump's second regime so far. More than 20. It really makes you wonder about what's going on here. We just covered a story the other day. It appears like ICE lynched somebody because he was found in a cell with his legs and his hands tied, and he was hanging. You can't really, if that's suicide, that's not a suicide because you can't, do that and then hang yourself. You need these things to be free. So apparently they're lynching people. They're attempting to murder people. Over 20 people have died in their custody, which leads you to believe, well, how many of those were killings and lynchings? These people are criminals. They're complete criminals. They're not even following like the proper documenting process, like, put the name into the system, so on and so forth. There's been countless examples. I forget the exact number of like people in ICE custody and they just disappear. They disappear. Nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows where they are anymore. Can't track them down. I mean, this is insane. And so we are dealing with a rogue criminal element. We're dealing with mass kidnappings and abductions and human traffickings and no due process. We're dealing with, assaulting elderly couples and shooting priests in the face with a pepper ball and tear gassing babies and cops and journalists. And they deported a guy for having cologne. Remember that? They said, it's drugs. Meanwhile, it was cologne. They deported a guy who was wrongfully imprisoned for 40 years. The guy was finally released and they kicked him out of the country. They tackled a 79-year-old car wash owner and had him hospitalized. American citizen, by the way. They've raided schools and 7-Elevens and meat packing facilities. And, they got rid of those rules that like, hey, there's certain places you can't go. You shouldn't go. They got rid of those rules. Now they can fucking raid elementary schools and shit. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And, the more we learn, the more horrifying it is. And, the more it's clear that we need mass trials. Like, these people all need to go down. They all need to go down. All the ICE guys, fucking Stephen Miller, Trump, like, this is untenable. Basically law and order has collapsed in this country, and it's because of direct decisions made from this gangster government. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.